You're listening to another Woodshop podcast, the okayest podcast of its type. Your hosts are Daniel Dunlap of Daniel Dunlap Woodworks, Peter Kapar of Petrie's Workshop, and Braden Boakes of Littlebug Woodworking. You can find them as well as the podcast on your favorite social media channels.
Welcome to episode 220 of another Woodshop podcast, where insert witty one-liner here, followed by subtle yet vague nod to the pre-show. Something silly about one of our podcast hosts or our guest. Punchline about last statement. Pause for reaction. Final statement where you stumble over words. Lock eyes with Braden and smile. What's going on, boys?
You're not gonna lock eyes with
I
me?
read the wrong thing.
That
Sorry.
was probably the most specific and topically accurate intro I've ever heard.
Sorry,
I loved it.
I
It's
black
probably my
out during the
favorite one.
intros, and I read my template. Shoot. Anyways,
You have a
What's-
template?
Shoot.
Now
I
I
may
just
have just
feel-
read it.
Now I just feel like you've lied to me this whole time. I thought that you did this all off the cuff. And
It used to
You-
say lock
you
eyes
have a
with Dan and
template.
smile, but then, you know, you
oh,
started
I've
wearing
been
hats.
downgraded. Cool.
You wear hats and you look down, so I can't do it anymore. But what's up, boys? Guys, 220. We're officially the level of voltage. Let's go.
220, 221, whatever.
Whatever gets it done.
Oh, I love that movie that I know the name of. Always
Mr.
forget.
Mom.
Thank you, Mr. Mom,
Mrs.
And-
Dad.
Mrs. Dad. And speaking of Mrs. Dad, Dan,
I assume you're trying to get us to go to the patrons?
why not?
Yeah, why not? So y'all know we love our patrons, yes?
Especially that
Yeah.
one.
Especially
He
that
knows who they
one.
are. They know
We
who
don't
they
have any
is.
new patrons to read off,
Oh.
unfortunately. But we do love our current and continued patronage of our patrons.
Our contingent patrons.
No, see, now I just feel like you're attacking me, and I don't. I'm not.
Conscripted patrons?
Anyways, speaking of what our
That's when-
contingent patron,
Conscripted,
whatever.
I think, is like against their will, right?
I think that's
Is that-
drafted. I mean, they are
our
the
VIP
Met Army.
patrons. Our VIP patrons. Special shout out to Jeremy Claybaugh, Woodwork and Weld. That's Mike Jake Miller from A Sweet Shop. Meet me at the Maker Camp soaking yurt. Oh my God, that is Alex Adams.
I'll be there. It's a date.
John Herbolsheimer from Living Lath Woodworks. I got some maker news with him involved a little bit. Jared LaPuma at LL Builds, Tyler Booth from Temecula Yard Games, Henry Lutens from Manfreda Wood, Scotty from Elevated Wood Design, Charlie Coons over at Stubby K Studio, Justin Frazier from Frazier Canyon Woodworks, Sarah Goldstein with Rosie's Woodshop, Michael at Gillette Woodworks, El Jefe at Maker's Way, Wim Design, that is Victor, Enormous Stilts. Enormous Stitz? Oh, Enormous Stitz. Okay.
Oh, he got you. He got you, Dan.
Bazinga.
He got
that's-
you to
that's
read
Nick
it
Brim.
thrice.
That's Nick Brim. Yep.
Mr. Seymour Butts himself.
See-
Send
Seymour
all your complaints to Nick Brim Woodworking on IG. Max and Liz Reed over at Redesign Co. Bill Burkle at WTB Woodworking. Jake Coneen at Dobby's Craft House. I'm going to build my own theme park with blackjack
And
and hookers. That's Patrick Ginsel, obviously. Ed Mancini from Mancini Woodworking. Chris at Chris Will Make. Scott Shirk. Keep the hat.
Red
At
Lag.
Red Lake Custom Woodworks, Max and Mindy Coons at Stubby K Studio, Justin Bailey from Campfire Woodworks, and Kyle from Four Nance's Design Co. Those are your starting VIP patrons for the 2024 football season. Something
Whoop, whoop.
podcasting.
Wow.
Yeah, that's all I got.
By the way, a great way to save money on patronage for the podcast is to just sign up with your spouse. So Max and Mindy, you got Max and Alyssa, you got all 4 of the Nances. Like, that's just a way, that's just smart money use right there, guys.
The 2-for-1 special
True.
right there.
4 for 1. Buy 1, get 3 free. It's like when you buy tires, but the opposite.
Well, plus for every 3 yearly quarters that you pay for your patronage, you get the 4th quarter at full price.
Oh,
So
yeah.
just keep that in mind. Your CPA is going to ask about it.
You're literally making money by doing that.
I don't know if we can legally say that.
Well, we've got a permanent 20% off coupon.
What is it? Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes. Can somebody say it faster? It has to be said pretty fast. Dan?
My result.
That was great. Honestly, that was
perfect.
pretty good. Can we just throw that at the end of the podcast each time now? So good. It's my podcast, and I need it now. Well, thank you to all of our patrons, and I want to give a shout out to our amazing sponsors. Yes, I use the plural because once again we have 2, which is super cool. First is our dear friend Hamilton with CNC with me. Join the ever-growing community and enjoy the many benefits such as commercial licensing for the files you get there, industry discounts, live support with Hamilton himself, and access to the robust library of files, resources, and tutorials. Not to mention all of the stuff that you get, like the community where you can join everyone else into forums, get questions answered. That's the place to be if you have any issues, because if you've ever been in a Facebook forum, you know they just get derailed pretty quickly, but not on CNC with me. It's everyone's very focused. Hamilton's in that forum all the time, and the community's so tight-knit and still small enough where they can really provide one-on-one support, and there's not any trolls like the Facebooks. So make sure to go sign up for CNC with me, and this whole month, all of the Friday project videos will revolve around craft fairs, setting up your tables, setting up shop. And I think, Braden, you just worked on one of the projects from the video, right?
I did. Dan and I, we've made $1 or $2 selling whiskey smokers, and we have always just stacked them in piles. And one of this year's projects is a really cool, like 3-tiered display center apparatus thing, scaffolding.
Apparatus.
Ooh, I like this.
Scaffolding. Yes.
So going into this year's craft season, Dan and I have got some bussin' displayage for our whiskey.
And did you make the demo table yet?
That's next on the list. I've got a nice piece of white oak MDF.
All right. I
Ply.
wonder where you got that from.
Wait, white oak MDF ply?
White oak
veneered
MDF. It's white oak veneered.
To use.
Oh, okay.
It's
So
the
technically-
other half of the full sheet that I used as my I immediately erased as my spoil board,
Oh, that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
and
was
then covered up with more MDF.
weird flex. on the internet.
Where in the world did you get white oak veneered MDF? That's
I just bought it with my
We know you just bought it. He asked where, chump.
Dan shop.
Dan shop.
Dan's Auto Tires and Wood Scraps Emporium.
I know it's Dandemonium.
Dan.
Come on down to Dan's for all your plywood needs.
No,
Well,
don't.
But guys, if you're in like the New Jersey, Pennsylvania area, and maybe you need some supplies, starting October 26th, you'll be able to go to Bill Burkle's baby, which is WTB Woodworking. He turned his slabbing, kiln drying business into a full storefront that is doing a grand opening in Huntingdon Valley, PA. They're going to be doing a grand opening on October 26th. I'll be there. Keith Johnson from KJ Sawdust is going to be there. These boys are not because they're chumps. And they're going to be doing slab sales. They're going to be doing free food for that whole day. We're going to be, I think you can get a free t-shirt with any purchase. And they're going to be stocking everything from Rubio to SawStop to Festool. You're going to be able to go hands-on with a lot of this stuff, which it might not seem like that big of a deal to a lot of people, but we have like 0 rocklers and woodcrafts around here. So it's actually really nice to be able to go to a store and like, check out some of the bits from Bits and Bits, the Fuji sprayers, again, Rubio and all that stuff. There's going to be $10 off of all boards, 20%, I'm sorry, 10% off of all boards, 20% off of all slabs, and 10% off of all CNC services because they do flatten them right there on site. They're also going to be running the Lucas Mill. I think it's a Lucas Mill. But anyways, they're going to be slabbing that same day, so you'll be able to see it all in action. And then I mentioned the glizzies and the burgers, baby.
Yeah, you had me at free food. You had me at free food.
Yeah.
That
Same
sounds
day
like the
slabbage.
grandest of openings.
Yeah. So basically, we're turning it into a maker event on the East Coast. So make sure to join us. It's going to be super fun. And we'll see you all there. And if you have any questions about that, go to WTBwoodworking.com.
I can't wait
Awesome.
for Pete to realize that I booked a ticket out for that weekend,
Cool.
and I'm also expecting to stay at his house.
Eric Curtis lives really close to it, so you can probably stay with him. How close are you with Mary Nakashima? George Nakashima's daughter? Are you guys close at all? Because you can stay with her. They're in town just a couple of miles away from them.
No.
So, no? Okay. Well,
I might I'll camp out underneath a lean-to made from a slab or something like that. Like,
by the way, I am kind of jealous because the Woodworking is BS podcast. That's Mary Sy, Eric Curtis, and Paul from Copper Peg. I don't know why I don't know his last name, but they had Mary Nakashima on their podcast, and that's pretty badass.
Really?
And if Dan, you're familiar with Nakashima, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Braden, I'm assuming a little bit as well. Yeah. So if you guys don't know, basically the godfather of live edge slab work, but he started out with benches and other things, and it's pretty cool. He's pretty much coined with bringing live edge to the U.S. Obviously, it was a thing before, but we didn't know it was cool until he told us.
Well, he also had like a very mid-century modern vibe too, which is really awesome.
So he's got he passed. His daughter runs the space now, but they have a little compound in New Hope, PA, where they do a lot of woodworking. They do some classes, courses there, but there's a whole documentary on his shop that they built there. It was pretty cool too. Sorry, I kind of went off the rails here. This wasn't a shout out for another podcast. Don't listen to them. Listen to us. But
they're already listening to us now. So,
well, you know what?
After this one,
we had we had Jimmy Dressed on. So suck it, guys. Yeah,
boom.
Take that. Well, anyways, what's going on with you guys? I feel like it's. I know it's just been a week, but I feel like I haven't seen you guys in a while.
It's been a long week.
Should we go into?
Has it been a long week? I feel like we just did this.
Push the button.
I'm trying to figure out. Are we doing on a bench? Do you guys want to do Maker News?
Let's do Maker News.
Oh, I love it.
Good news, everyone.
Let's go. So, Braden, you want to start us off?
Yes. Welcome back to Makers for St. Jude Watch. So, it's like Panda Watch from Anchorman, but more
Day
exciting.
45.
Move, stupid panda, making me look dumb.
Actually, now I think it's hippos.
Ooh.
Hippo's the big thing. There's a baby hippo born, and it's taken over the internet. Sorry. But anyways, we care more about Makers for St. Jude.
Yeah, hippos, they can wait their turn. They can get in line. But Makers for St. Jude, the goal is still 35,000. And Onefinity just wrapped up today. They drew the winner, and they haven't announced it yet, but the raffle ended. But they were raffling off a cacophony of Onefinity products.
If it was a caboodle, what type of animal would it be?
Oh, definitely a kit.
Oh, I love it.
A kit and a caboodle.
Kit and
hippo-
caboodle.
Isn't that
murder
kitten?
of crows?
I always thought that was kitten.
You know
caboodle.
what? Let him say kit and caboodle. I'll allow it.
I'm pretty sure it's kit and caboodle.
It's not, but I appreciate
Is
you.
it though? I don't
As
know.
soon as I'm done with what I have on my phone, I will be researching this.
Dan,
I'm-
Dan, I want to say that he's probably correct. He's technically correct,
Yeah,
which
he's
is the
correct.
best type of correct.
He's correct.
It's my
But-
favorite kind.
Son of
We
a
all
bee.
know it as kitten.
Yeah, I always thought it was kitten.
A caboodle of kittens.
Yeah, I was like, that's a weird. It's a weird grouping name.
Anyway, Onefinity was raffling off a Pro Series Woodworker Bundle, which was a $3,700 value. It included a Pro Series Woodworker with the controller and the display included, a 3-axis touch probe, a wireless joypad so you could go meow, 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 meow with your CNC, which is honestly the only reason I bought mine, a Suck It dust boot, and a JTech Photonic 7-watt plus laser kit. All of that ended up raising, Stone had to actually raise the goal twice. Ended up raising $8,280.
That's so many kittens.
That's so many kittens. Almost a caboodle of kittens.
I would say that's at least 1.5 caboodles. And
that bumps the current amount raised this year for Makers for St. Jude up over $32,000.
Wow. They're close to the goal.
Yeah.
Which also they've raised the goal, and I love that they keep raising the goal. It's like
the goal for this year was like 25 grand, and it's already been raised once. It will be raised again. I have a very large wager that's backed by my mortgage that it'll get raised again. So,
or else I have to pay out.
Yeah, but I mean, the cool thing about this, I mean, everybody wants a CNC. This one is actually personally signed by Stone and Morgan Hopp.
Oh,
was it?
So that's pretty cool.
It is now.
Yeah, it is now. Guys, get on it. But yeah, like in Sharpie on the back, they just signed it, so you get a special edition. And I mean, it's just really great. There's a whole bunch of giveaways and raffles that are all starting to kind of roll in because September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. So it's the big challenge for Makers for St. Jude is going through September and October. Goes till November. This is my confident voice. I believe it goes until November. And there's a kitten and a caboodle of prizes. Like there's a bunch of brands involved. So go check out Makers for St. Jude on Instagram or makersforstjude.org. And you can get all the information about all the other stuff that's being raffled off and all the prizes that you can win if you raffle off something and raise some money yourself. And all of it's tax deductible. And we're getting to about that time where we need to start just like throwing money away for tax purposes.
Yeah.
So that's
nice.
That's what I got on that.
Kick ass.
What's the other news?
It's so awesome to hear that thing doing so well. I mean,
yeah,
it's crazy.
Considering it started last summer. I mean, it really took off.
Yeah.
And also I'm going to give you guys something on the down low.
The DL?
This is insider information.
Are we trading?
There is also this, Pete, this doesn't necessarily help you as much, but Dan, we've got another craft show or two that we have to do next year that are in the works because there is a local cancer foundation, like nonprofit, that is going to be partnering with Makers for St. Jude to put on a craft show or two.
All right.
So that's more coming soon.
Oh, is it Chrysler Jeep Dodge of Omaha?
It is.
Love
not.
those guys. They're great on TikTok. They're big into charity.
Okay.
No, it's actually O'Reilly's.
O'Reilly's.com. just 4 O's O'Reilly.
But yeah, no, it's really taken off. You know, everybody seems pretty drawn to it. I mean, because end of the day, like, if you're not for the cause, you're kind of. I'm going to go out on a limb and say if you're pro childhood cancer, you're just a bad person. And
who would be that type of person? Yeah, they're probably out there.
Well, Braden, everyone's on the edge of their seat. How can they learn more? What's the best way to learn more? When can they tune in to just find out more information, maybe from the source? Like what's coming up maybe
from the source?
From the source. Yeah.
You'd have to find some way to connect with, say, an audio, sometimes visual production, like weekly, where Mike Suter was going to be the brains behind Makers for St. Jude. And
do you have a schedule?
I think I'm just looking at my calendar here. Mike Suter is going to be on as a guest next week, the 26th. This time for real, we double checked with Mike. He knows about this time.
He knows.
So, definitely tune in next week. And if you've got questions about Makers for St. Jude, about his story, make sure to get those in the next week to another woodshop podcast at gmail.com so that we can ask Mike next week.
Yep.
So
nice.
There's that.
I'm excited for that. It's going to be fun to have him on and grill him on all this stuff. Because that's crazy that he just built this whole thing like in his shop. Badass.
It's going to be a kitty litter of caboodle.
A caboodle.
Of fun.
Yeah. Dan, you got something in Maker News?
I got a little some. I want to give a little shout out to our friend and yours, John Herbolsheimer, VIP patron from Living Lathe Woodworks. They are opening a storefront. I can't tell so he just made an Instagram post like 2 hours ago. This just came across my desk.
This just in.
And I can't tell if like it's their store or if they got a spot in a store, but they're going to have a storefront. So that's awesome. If you're in the Lincoln, Nebraska area, go check it out. It's at the Painted Tree Boutique.
I was going to say, did he just pop open like a fold up table inside a Target lobby?
He may have. I'm not sure. If you're not following John, go give him a follow. Living Lathe Woodworks. So that's awesome news, John. I'm happy for you. I'm pumped for you. That's all I got.
I love it. Well, there's another big event this weekend. So when you're listening to this, it may have passed, but it's just perfect time to start planning for next year.
If you're a VIP patron, you're getting
VIP patron, you might be able to get it in. The PB Pine Barren Maker Fest is happening right now. Well, by right now, I mean Saturday and Sunday this weekend. It's going to be the 21st through the 22nd. And it's going to be a huge, huge event. Every year, these kids, so Pat and Carlina from Sawdust Gypsy and Pine Barren Pallet Works put this together, and they've been just absolutely killing it. And this year, just when you thought the event couldn't get any better, Dan, guess what they added?
Mayonnaise booth.
Better. Beer.
Beer.
They got a brewery.
Oh,
yeah,
brewery?
Yeah, brewery. So, or at least they...
I'm going to have to make it out there next year somehow, some way.
At least they got a van or trailer full of something from a brewery. So super awesome. A lot of makers come out from all over the U.S. Actually, tons of people. I saw Ashley from Ashwood and Hawk just drove up from Tennessee to set up a booth. So tons of makers. I think there's some people even coming down from Canada. Huge show. We actually can't make it this year, and we're kicking ourselves for it because we've made it every single year since it started. So start planning for next year. It's going to be awesome. I think it's worth checking out, and make sure to follow them for all the content that's going to be dropping, and check out some of the makers that are going to be there, because it's a great place to see what cool stuff people are making.
It really is a fest.
Yeah.
From all the things that I've seen posted from years past on the social medias.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's a whole kit and caboodle of things to do there?
Dude, there's adult cats and caboodles.
Adult cats. What would an adult cat be called?
I don't know.
Not a kitten.
Stressed out on a mortgage and what else do we have, dude? Is there any other news?
I don't have anything else. I'm good.
Last thing is, guys, I know they're sponsored too, but I just need to say it. Maker Camp. Maker Camp. Maker Camp is like less than 3 weeks.
Less than 3 weeks.
You guys are going to be here in 19 days.
We're going to grill a whole bear.
18 moon rotations.
I was trying to impress the guys with the amount of food I was going to cook for them, and they're like, go bigger. Whole bear. Whole cow.
I can't wait. Pete's going to smoke a bear.
I think we should do a whole pig.
I think we should.
A whole pig and put
Is it still caboodle if it's a whole pig?
No, I think it'd be a murder of bears.
A murder of bears?
No, we can't eat bears. Haven't you been watching the news? It's how you get brain worms.
Is that what happened to RFK Jr.?
That's part of it.
Too soon, guys.
Oh, sorry.
Abraham Lincoln jokes just became funny.
I disagree.
By the way, so before we get into, that's it for Maker News. Before we get into our next segment, Dan, I've been going back for dozens of episodes just to try to get one line from you that you used to say all the time, but I'm too lazy to go further back.
Oh, you want me to say it this week?
Well, which line are you thinking of?
Probably Etsy orders.
Yeah, just that, and like we leave it at that. So I'm just gonna play the intro.
Right, I'll do it.
I'm gonna do Dan, what's in your bench? And then you're like, yeah, it's the orders.
Okay,
that's the orders. And then
I've been writing down a list so that I can actually talk.
And then we're gonna go into the actual thing.
Okay.
Just because I'm too lazy. I have one, but it's okay. I don't know. You used to say it like it was like I could tell. I would drink every time.
I was getting like soul drained. Soul drained?
It was ZCIs actually for a while. I think it was bow tie time. Like that's the bow ties were wearing you out. But anyways, why don't we get into that part of the show? So let's play this thing.
What's on my bench?
Dan, what's on your bench?
Etsy orders. That's it.
Is
that what you wanted?
No, that's perfect. Yeah, we're gonna use that. We're gonna use that clip. Yeah, Braden, we got a clip to post. Yeah. If anyone's confused about what we're gonna play, don't worry. Just check out our Instagram. Oh, you're not following? Oh, guess what? We have an Instagram. We post the greatest memes. Most of them made by
and
Alex.
By we mean Braden.
Or
Braden's
Alex.
the Instagram genius over here.
I recently found that CapCut will let me not only do auto captions, but it has an auto captions where it throws in emojis.
I need you to show me how to do that because I was trying to figure out how to do that with the latest reel that I posted and I couldn't find that option in
I want to
CapCut.
see too because I pay for the CapCuts.
I do too.
Plural.
I should be using it to its full potential.
But I giggled when at one point when that was clearly non-edited footage that we pulled from the podcast. When Dan goes, Braden, the emoji was brain. It was just a brain. Oh, so good. All right. Well, anyways, Dan, what's on the bench? Let's actually talk about it.
Etsy orders, obviously. All right, let's just start there. Yep. Etsy is always keeping me busy, and I'm grateful for it. It's not as soul draining as it used to be because I have Sutton in my shop now. Working in your shop with somebody else actually is so much better. I feel like there's camaraderie there. Like it's nice to have a coworker. You know, you're not just sitting there by yourself and engrossed in your own thoughts. If I have a thought, I can bounce it off Sutton, and vice versa. So I can't thank Braden enough for recommending his brother to me. So I'm grateful to have him there. He kicks ass. So like today, the drum sander needed the paper changed, and I was off doing something else, probably sitting on my butt looking at Instagram. But I came into the shop, and he was in the middle of changing the sandpaper on the drum sander, which is not an easy feat. If you've ever done that, it can be kind of a pain in the butt. He watched me do it one time, and then he tackled it on his own, and he got it. I was like, bro.
Love it.
And that's
I love that.
That's extra hard to do with your feet.
That is accurate. Yes.
Well, that defeats the purpose.
A murder of sandpaper.
No easy feet. Get it?
Yeah, I get it.
I guess Dan wasn't doing hands-on training.
I did that one time. Speaking of Sutton, he's been helping me like try to make other products and stuff. So like when he's got a minute, I let him go through the scrap pile and throw something together if he wants. And one of the things that he put together this week, which I think was really cool, he made a board that was just like 17 by 17. And when it was done, it was a nice board, but it was just a little panel, right? So we came up with the idea to do a pizza peel. So I quickly drew something up.
What about my appeal?
Nothing about your appeal. There's
You said
nothing.
pizza peel.
I hate this timeline. I hate it. I just
Kit and caboodle.
so.
It's too bad we have a show title already.
We've already got like several show title contenders. So whipped out a pizza peel on the CNC real quick. I should probably offer that file for sale. It was like super simple. It took me 5 minutes, but whatever.
No, it was very, very complicated. And if you're interested in making one, it's so much easier just to buy Dan's file than
it's going to cost you $14.99. But where things got a little interesting was, a pizza peel needs to have sort of like a tapered lip on it so you can get it under the pizza. Otherwise, you're just kind of like pushing the pizza. It's more of a pizza pusher. Anyways, so we went back and forth on how we were going to achieve that, and we thought of the standard ways, use a jig on the table saw, maybe use the router table, maybe do it on the bandsaw, kind of freehand, like a Jimmy Dressa style would do. But we settled on using the what is that? Not the drum sander. Words escape me. The handheld belt sander. Yeah. So I showed him exactly
just the belt sander, and then the stationary one is you add words.
Oh, okay, whatever.
Well,
so we settled on that, and I was like, okay, if I were going to do this, this is the technique I would use, and he did it, and he crushed it, and it's a man. I've never seen a more beautiful pizza pill. I really haven't. So that is awesome. We also finished 2 beautiful ingrain cutting boards that I started to glue up. One of them I glued up entirely like 2 months ago, and Sutton did the final processing on it, and he put the edge profiles on it and all that jazzy stuff. And we put on some brass cutting board feet from Justin over at Campfire Woodworks. If you didn't know,
now available on Amazon.
Justin at Campfire Woodworks sells brass cutting board feet. You can get them on Etsy. You can get it on Amazon. You could probably DM him and get him straight through his Instagram. I don't know. I'm talking out of my butt there. But yeah. And it's nice to be doing other things other than just ZCIs and bow ties. So
I think that's great.
And those are easy feet.
They are.
I get it. I get it. Easy feet.
Gorgeous. They're gorgeous. And they're hefty. They're actual solid brass. They're not brass plated. They're solid brass.
Thick, girthy brass.
I posted that cutting board with the zebra wood.
It looks really
border.
pretty, but that thing is definitely going to explode. It's a ticking time bomb.
It is not going to.
Should I add a white oak? That's all I'm saying.
It's not. No, that one has maple in it, so there's no white oak. I posted that on Reddit and actually did pretty good, except for the few comments that told me it's going to explode. And even one guy was like, "Yeah, it's great, except for the gap."
That gap.
He must have zoomed way in to see this tiniest gap. Oh my god! How sad is your life that you got to zoom in on a picture to find the flaws? Anyway, that did pretty good. Let's see. I have a lot of things to talk about, Jinlin.
Let's go.
My dust collector, I think, finally took a poop. I think it finally died. I posted a reel about that.
Because you bashed it with a shovel?
Because you haven't cleaned it in
I don't remember doing that. I clean that thing 3 times a week, at least.
To be fair, I in one defense of that's a faulty machine, yes. But the HEPA filter, it picks up all the fine particulates. You only use it for your drum sander. So it's not even collecting in a hopper.
I only use it for my drum sander because I can't use it for everything else because it's so pathetic. The drum sander is the one tool that I need it to work for. Like, I can deal with the dust from the table saw or the jointer or the bandsaw. The drum sander is the one that I need to collect the dust from. When you say deal with,
you mean you won't actually dust collect. You're okay with the dust in the air.
It wouldn't collect it anyways.
That's why he keeps the mustache and beard.
And I said, look, listen, I'll take full credit for like me not having confidence in Dan in this. I love Dan like a brother, but like you posted that video of it like blowing air backwards, and I was like, what is wrong with this thing? This is absolutely wrong. But my first gut instinct was like, Dan's using it wrong. But I've already Braden confirmed it, Nick confirmed it, other people confirmed it.
I like that you trust those guys more than you trust me.
I know, but it's
come on.
I'm still like, Dan's got to be doing this. And I think it's just like Dan's smart as hell and we give him so much crap, but like my gut instinct was like, Dan's got to be doing something wrong.
I just assume that Dan is living his life like a black bear, just trying to get into campers, coolers and stuff like that.
Trying not to get grilled at Pete's house.
Yeah, his dust collector just happened to be like the Yeti cooler, which is bear proof sort of thing, and he's just bashing at it.
You guys want bear? I can arrange that.
Shh, we'll talk.
We'll go down to the bear den and get some meals. We'll get some bear wings.
I hear they got a buffet.
So, speaking of the dust collector, last night, can't remember if Braden or Nick found a dust collector on the Facebook Marketplace. I think it might have been Nick.
It's always Nick.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Just trolls Facebook Marketplace and makes you and I spend every chunk of money we got. And I hate and love him for it. Nick
found a used, quote unquote, very lightly used dust collector. It's built with a Harbor Freight motor, and it's got a HEPA filter. I don't know if it's a HEPA filter, but it's got a filter on it and
actual filter.
It's got a cyclone. It's a whole system.
Filters.
It looks janky, but anything is going to be better than the thing that I currently use. So I promptly went and bought that sucker, and Nick and I had to take it apart. And when I say Nick and I mean Nick had to take it apart. We had to take it off the wall from this guy's shop and everything. And we brought it back to my place last night. So hopefully my good friends locally, Braden and Nick, can come help me set it up this weekend.
I dodged the bullet on that one.
Yeah. Well, you don't trust me. You don't think I can do anything. So
it's not that I don't trust you. It's just that. Anyways, what else is on?
But so like I posted that reel of my dust collector like blowing dust backwards. But in that reel, I was using my $5 Temu mic, and I learned the hard way that is a bad mic. It's a bad mic. So do not recommend that mic if you're working in the wood shop. If you're just doing voiceover, I think it's probably fine.
Even that is a little rough.
I think it's fine for.
I'm glad you took that feedback well, because I was like,
no. I knew it was bad. Once I listened to that clip, I was like, oh God, that is loud. It's just bad. So. So yeah.
Let's just say it doesn't handle sudden and dramatic changes in volume well.
No, it doesn't. It's got noise canceling in it, but it doesn't do a good job of like differentiating between noise that it should be canceling and noise that it shouldn't. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, it heard the sudden increase in volume and stream of profanities and thought, we should cancel this.
Because here's the thing. I think of all of us, Dan's got the most like
loud voice.
No, not loud voice. No. Like you got the most. You have Riz voice. Yeah. Like, yeah, say what you want, but like you've got the most like nice level baritone voice. You could just.
I got the most.
If you could read, if you could just read a voiceover, or like just talking over your video, it's pleasant. Like I talk, and I want to pull my hair out. You know.
Yeah, it's grinding your voice. I don't
like when Braden talks. It just
hard to hear.
His voice.
You have a voice
like
for radio.
would.
Wait, no, that's not right.
Yeah,
you have a voice for silent movies.
You have a voice for photography.
Okay, so continuing. Last thing. I am in love with my 3D printer.
I love this timeline. I love this version
weird.
of Dan.
I don't know. What did you do to the original Dan?
I have just been 3D printing all kinds of ridiculous stuff. Like these skulls. They're just for like holding things. I don't know. Somebody, I think James Liger from Liger's Woodshop was like, you could use it for queso. And I'm like, yes, queso skull. So that's fun. I've also been doing my secret thing, which I will not divulge just yet. But there's a pile of things right to my left that I've been secretly printing.
All dick butts.
Very much so. And somebody in the pre-show chat reminded me, I need to start printing my maker army from all the 3D scans that Dave Meow did. I haven't done that yet. Okay. Should have been like the first thing I 3D printed.
So just to recap here, Dan is basically caught up on Etsy.
Yep.
He's improving his dust collection, and he's a 3D printer boy now. It's like Dan took his New Year's resolutions and just decided, you know what? I can get those in like the last quarter of the year.
This is the darkest timeline.
I swear, if the next words out of Dan's mouth are like, I got a elliptical or something like that, and also I can deadlift 400 pounds, like he's been secretly bulking up, I wouldn't be surprised, but I might fall over.
That's not going to happen. I'll tell you that right now. One last thing.
Dan,
your
word
means
I'll never own a 3D printer. Dan, 2023.
Your word means like it just absolutely nothing. Like you have said, I'm never gonna never a 3D printer. Oh, I'm never gonna get a helper. I'm never gonna have this. I'm never gonna have that. Like, dude, you're conquering all of that, and you take such a hard stance on all this stuff, and then you just crush it.
I can't wait for
I'm also
yoked ass Dan at
seriously, dude.
Laser
Schwarzenegger. It's not gonna happen. One last thing. Sutton and I have also been kind of, when we can, working on a YouTube video, which kind of brings me back to the terrible Temu mic. So that might be difficult to edit, but we'll give it a go.
Actually, run it through that Adobe enhancer that Braden's got. Because another
the thing with those mics though is like
does that too.
The thing with those mics, I mean that those mics would be fine if you're just straight talking, but it does such a good job of canceling background noise. Like, it's awkward when you use it in the shop because it cancels out all the noise. And when you're doing shop work, in my videos at least, you kind of want to have the sound of the shop sounds. God, I didn't want to say that, but you want to hear some of the shop sounds.
I'll build them. I'll send them an invoice.
Okay. Anyway, that's the last for me. I want to hear what Braden is up to.
Braden!
I don't want to follow that. Dan's been friggin' crushing it, and just little old me over here.
I've been making a lot more content too. Which
tell us how many more boxes you got.
The last batch of boxes gets picked up tomorrow. The email saying, hey, you wanted them done in a week. They're done in 3 days, got lost in the corporate abyss of emails. And so when I reminded my contact on Monday or Tuesday, like, hey, they're all here and they're very much in my way. Oh yeah, we'll pick them up. When works for you? And they emailed me today. Hey, how about tomorrow? So a week later, I will finally get those out of my way, which will be fantastic because I can work around them, but I have like 2 basically floor to ceiling stacks of these things. They form like the ice wall in the movies where the path is carved out and it's one loud noise and it'll collapse on Aretha as she's walking to her car. So those are going to be gone. Pumped about that. I have been churning out stuff for craft fair season coming up. I am working on finalizing. I need to sign the paperwork for at least one store that I'm going to be doing some holiday place, like pop-up shop type placement stuff. So I'm hoping it'll be kind of like what you talked about last year with your Christmas ornaments, where you just drop them off and restock every now and then and pick up some money every now and then. So I'm trying to get into a bunch of stores. I need to text Dan and Nick about this, but I think we need like 2 more craft fairs, or maybe 1 more.
How many do you have right now lined up?
2.
2 at least.
Yeah.
I haven't officially signed up for the other
What are the
one,
dates? What are the dates? I'm curious.
Early November is for the big high school one that we make most.
I need
of our
to
money
send my contact of that other one a message and see when it is. Actually,
and so we've got at least 2 set up. So I think we could do 1 more.
At least 1 more, yeah.
Without,
I think so. Especially if you guys are working together.
Yeah, and we always have way too much stuff because every single year, like the 2 weeks leading up to the craft fair, I don't know about Dan, but I panic. I'm like, I don't have enough stuff when I've got crates of stuff still, and I basically just don't sleep for that 2 weeks leading up, and I'm just churning out stuff. So So working on just getting that stuff ready. I'm really trying to step up my game on my packaging and my display work this year. I've been spending a ton of time working on my my Shopify listings, my website listings, and my Etsy listings. And I've also been working on kind of revitalizing my cornhole business because I just donated
There's a joke in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, baby. Yeah.
Tune in
I'm
next
gonna
week.
revitalize your cornhole.
Grilled bear.
Anyway, after I just donated a set of boards and I love this new process. I love the new design on my boards. I don't like making them. Like, at the end of the day, they're still just cornhole boards, but I'm more interested in the product now, and I kind of want to figure out how to ship them better so that I can expand my reach outside of just the Omaha area. And I think I've got that down pat. So now what I'm trying to do is I'm spending a lot of time doing design work on, like I said, my packaging stuff. I sent you guys, I'm trying to get some cutting board care cards that I'm going to get printed up on like heavy stock that I'm going to start packing with stuff.
And I'm totally stealing those.
I literally designed ones with your names and sent them, so you don't have to.
That is correct. So I don't have to steal them. That's nice.
You just have
He did all the work for
Thank you.
I'm working on some shipping boxes. I'm trying to optimize all my sizes. Like I'm probably going to, like every single year, I'm probably going to miss the boat to like really do it well this year. But I'm hoping to be at least halfway through optimizing a bunch of processes so I can tell if they work better or not, so I can integrate those into like next year's sales. Because I mean, end of the day, like care cards and thank you cards, things like that, that's not season specific. Although I do have some holiday themed ones that I'm going to print. And then I had like I didn't learn a single thing from Pete here. And I quoted out a kitchen island. So I'm building a kitchen island.
Oh,
did they accept it?
Yeah.
Oof.
Okay.
So, and I'm unlike you where you modified it. I was real dumb. I'm building the whole thing from scratch.
I will say this: building from scratch would be easier than what I did because I was building off of a footprint and off of an existing structure that I had to modify.
I feel like he's probably right. Yeah, I think it's going to be
like
easier.
you actually might be better off because like I was doing it at some point and I'm like this front face I'm painting it and the side panels they're MDF so they paint very smooth and in the front I painted and it was oak. It was old oak, so just all the grains soaked up the paint. So
old oak.
So you might be better off honestly doing that.
I think what I'm going to try and do to like optimize the build. One, I've been watching a lot of Keith Johnson videos because he does all the built-ins and I don't know. There's nothing else to do during the day, so I just watch YouTube. But I think one of the things that I'm going to do is one, I'm not painting them because I hate paint, so I've offloaded the painting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because it's for my other brother's lady friend, and it's a whole insurance claim, like her kitchen flooded, stuff like that. So drywall's getting done, and then it's getting painted, and there's some like flooring's getting done and all that. So I was able to basically be like, hey, I don't paint well. You don't want me to do this. But if you have painters coming in, have them paint all this. So I think I'm going to use pre-finished ply so that I can scuff it all and it'll prime well and smooth. Probably use like hard maple or poplar, basic normal stuff for the face frames. But I think I've got it figured out, and this will be a fun learning experience. But I think I've got the carcasses kind of planned out in Vectric to carve all of my dados size-wise. I think I can fit the biggest length on my machine. And so I'll be able to actually fit, instead of doing 3 individual carcasses, I'll be able to do one big one with all the dados and everything put in place. I'll be able to put in all the sides will fit. So I'll be able to actually have it drill like shelf pin holes. And I might regret this, but I'm going to try and plot out at very least some reference lines for drawer slides and things like that, so that, you know, maybe it can just punch everything in perfect, and everything should hopefully line up. And as long as I tack it all together right, it should all end up square. Easier than doing it by hand.
Fingers
crossed.
I am also interviewing 4 new therapists as soon as this project starts. So
BetterHelp.com.
Try to get that sponsor.
Official sponsor of not this podcast, but probably at least one other one.
I've seen him sponsoring lots of YouTube videos lately, actually.
Spooky ghost mattresses.
But yeah, that's most of what I'm doing. Fun fact, did you know I have enough Dan scraps that I was able to glue 1 pizza peel's worth of panel from just zebra wood. So now it looks like I've got a big piece of zebra wood.
Really?
But it's got stripes amongst the stripes. It's like double striped. Yeah,
I did it
right, like the gum.
I did it right before I came down here.
You already glued it up. Can I get it back?
I glued it up. I gotta
plane it. Now that you did the work, can I get it back?
I gotta plane it because the whole thing is like 47 different thicknesses. But yeah, it's literally like it had to be like 12 separate pieces of wood that all got glued together. I was like, oh man, Dan must have had a run of zebra wood, because these are all pretty much.
I do a lot of zebra wood stuff. I do a lot of zebra wood.
But I don't know if Dan would want it, because Dan uses Boss Dog glue. You use Kit and Caboodle glue. So,
I do. I use the Toit Bond.
Oh yeah, 3. I forgot. I got 2 gallons of Boss Dog glue, and I'm excited about that. And I was talking to Nick. I almost said Nate. My brain was going Nate. Nick. I talked to Nick through IG last night, and they're launching a new product next Friday. Or tomorrow.
We can't spoil what
tomorrow.
It is.
Boss Dog Staples.
But he's sending me the new product, and I can't wait to show it off.
I have
he wouldn't tell me what it is.
I'm not sure if this is the product that I'm testing right now, but let's just say that, you know, outdoor use glues are getting some competition.
I'm just saying I have yet to get a chance to try any Boss Dog glues,
because you're using cat-based glues, okay?
I am looking to offload my cat fur based.
We are using dog-based glues here.
I don't know what's worse.
It's all awful.
It's all awful. It's all pretty bad. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on. Just a lot of a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So
you got your toes in lots of different.
I've got kits and I've got caboodles.
Would you say that you have your toes in the water, but also is your ass in the sand?
My ass is so in the sand, and let me tell you, it's in the crack.
Okay,
Pete, what the hell are you working on this week?
Hey, well, first of all, today you guys were nice enough to shout it out in the pre-show. Emma and I are celebrating our 4-year wedding anniversary and our 12-year of being stuck together anniversary. We've been dating for 12 years.
It's the same day?
It's a day apart. We try to line up our wedding with it, but it would have been Monday, so nobody wants a Monday wedding. Anyways, happy 4-year anniversary, because she listens to this podcast. A happy 12-year dating anniversary. And I saw something really sweet the other day that made me sweat from my eyes, which is your wedding anniversary should be your family's birthday. I really like that. It's a nice little sentiment, because then your whole family gets to celebrate. Like, hey, you little poops that don't clean your room wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me and your mom or your dad. So that was a nice little approach to it. Aside from that, this week was super busy. I feel like I was running around the entire week and putting stuff in my calendar, but I have nothing on what's on my bench. The one thing I did do that's shop related, we picked up some sapele. I went down to Willard Brothers down in Trenton, New Jersey, and with Keith from KG Sawdust, big guy, big famous guy. Look him up. Look him up. My friend, look him up. Picked up sapele because sapele is cheaper than white oak right now, and that's what I was going to use for outdoor these adirondack chairs. So I have Paul Jackman's plans or templates. I have the hard templates.
So do I.
Yes, you do. I have the OG templates, and I have the small, tiny human version. So I was going to make a set for me and Emma and Juniper in the future. And sapele is still not cheap. It was like $950, $925 a board.
Oh my
foot,
gosh.
depending on what I know, dude. And like,
it's like way cheaper here.
Dude, I asked people like what the prices are like in the area, and some people are saying like $12, $14. Some are saying $4, $6.
It's 3 something here.
I need to move to Nebraska. Oh my god.
Yeah, you're welcome to.
Yeah, Dan, we need to start a hardwood export business.
The export is where the price goes up.
Yeah, we re-export it
Just
back
resell.
out to the coast.
So
Just
locally,
resell Liberty hardwood stuff.
locally, it's about $12.50 a board foot for 5/4.
Lord,
I know.
that's what they sell 8/4
premium walnut.
quarter
Yeah.
sawed white oak for.
Dude, that's Home Depot price. Oh, don't even get me started on white oak. That's a whole different level. But
Yeah, white oak quarter saw 8/4.
So just so you know, Willard Brothers is about an hour 45 south of me. And it was like, well, we were going down anyways because Keith was getting stuff. So like it made sense to get it. It's still cheaper than everything I can get locally. But aside from that, I'm excited to do these Adirondack chairs that, what's his name? Paul Jackman designed. And I'm really excited to do the mini chair for kids because that's a new one that he did. I think he built a set of them, or at least one of them. So pretty.
Does it specifically say for kids, or is it just mini chairs?
It's LP chairs, little person chairs. It's for kids. It's a kid's chair. It's not available yet. I think Dan and me and like maybe 5 other people have the plans. No one else does. And of course, we're not building them. I am now, finally. I was like, I need to build these things for him. Aside from that, I decluttered the shop a bit. I actually got rid of a couple of things. I found out my neighbor across the way is a woodworker as well. And I started being like, hey, you want this dust stopper, dust collection thing? You want these rollers? You want this Rockler workbench thing? So like I started handing off stuff to him because like, honestly, I'd rather, it's like Dan. And like, I'd rather pass it along to a woodworker I know than to sell it on Marketplace and deal with the, hey, is this still available?
Mm-hmm.
Is this still available, guys? So, yeah, go ahead.
I did that this week. I had a guy come pick up my old planer because Dan and Nick found me a planer on Facebook Marketplace, but I sold my old planer, and this guy showed up in, first off, one of the new Priuses, which looked dope.
New Prius? They're
like
still
the
making
new
them?
body style Prius looks freaking sweet.
I don't know if you could put those words together in a sentence.
You check it out. I thought it was like a Tron, like.
Is it busting?
It is. I believe it is elevated all the way up to bussin'.
I have to bing it. I have to bing
But
this thing.
this guy showed up and he's like, I'm just starting to get into woodworking, and he's in like khakis and a polo, or not a polo, like a button-down shirt. He just came from work and he's got his Prius and he's like, yeah, I'm just getting into woodworking. And
Dude, it looks like a Tesla.
Dude, it's cool.
That kind of makes me hate it.
Dude, it kind of slaps.
But yeah, so he walks into my shop, and my shop it's just a garage shop, but it has I have more garage space than a lot of people do, and you just tell like overwhelm sort of thing. And I did the exact same thing. I took advantage of his wonder, and I'm like, here's this tool, here's this tool, here's this thing that I want to get rid of. Here's all my cornhole board jigs that I don't use anymore.
It looks better than it did. I'll give you that much.
Yeah, it definitely does look better than it did. And Dan, at the end of the day, it still takes fuel.
Dan's just
I'm not anti-electric car. Let's get this straight. First of all,
Dan's just thinking it ain't no trail boss.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
How big a rim can I put onto it? That seems pretty limiting.
Yeah, I just the bigger the tire, the better. That's
the better the
of
jam.
course. Yeah, everyone but Kayla knows that.
It's just science.
Just science. Where was I? Oh, it was just decluttering. So anyways, gave some stuff to my neighbor, but I also, Dan, remember that lathe that I got from you?
Yeah.
I love that thing. I refuse to get rid of it because it's
a
perfect
nice lathe.
size. It is. I put it in storage this week. I'm like, all right,
Oh,
it's been
son
sitting.
of a bee.
Well, it's like I'm not willing to get rid of it. Like when I have the bigger shop, whatever, I'll set it up. I can't get rid of that thing. I can't.
It's a real
sell
nice
it.
lathe.
It's really nice. It has. Here's the reason it's nice. It's the Jet 1221. So 12-inch is the
Variable
biggest
speed.
bowl you can do. 21 is how wide you can go. Variable speed, and it has reverse. And if anyone turns stuff, in this like anyone listening, reverse is great when you're sanding because the grain doesn't just go one direction. You can sand the other way, so you're not sitting there sanding by hand. It's awesome.
Does the head spin so you do like a bowl on the outside?
You could, I think, technically
I can't remember.
spin it out, but you have to readjust the pulleys.
Okay,
think-
but it's possible.
But either way, dude, it's got so many features for the size, the footprint. I love it. I can't get rid of it. So I just wanted a storage. But that's been my week. Just got some supplies, cleaned up some stuff, got rid of some things, and moved my lathe into storage. And also been married for a while. So that's it. That's my achievements this week.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, I
you go.
know. Huge. It's not quite as big as boxes and shop helpers, but something.
You'll get there, buddy.
I'll get there one day. All right, why don't we get in? Oh, go ahead.
I've got one more thing. I launched my first ever 3D designed 3D print product. I made those little bottle inserts. So if you don't have a CNC to cut out bottle opener ridges, you can just take a 1 3/4 Forstner bit and drill, and then
Drill, baby.
you drill, baby, drill, and then CA glue this insert in. And I popped it up online, and within like 5 minutes, I had already sold all of the ones I had pre-printed. And I just, while we were sitting here, got another order for some more of them. So
Very nice. I love it.
it's very cool. I'm not here to teach anybody how to use Fusion, but I'm kind of a big deal. I've pushed at least 3 buttons.
Listen,
Nice.
you're kind of a medium deal. I love it.
I'm a little bug.
I feel like this time next year, I'm going to be all up in your 3D modeling businesses.
Businesses.
And yeah, Pete's
gonna
going to
have
be
to.
doing ZCIs. I'm going to be doing
Yeah.
bow ties, and you're going to be doing 3D print design stuff.
Dan, put it down. Put it down.
Dan,
Put it down.
shh,
Yeah, People can
censored,
trace.
censored.
They can trace from the video.
Oh, okay.
You don't want them to get the measurements. Oh,
They're going to reference your hand
Yeah.
and the things in the background and the angle of the light coming through the window, and they're going to find your address.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's get into questions, right? Because since we don't
Please,
have
and thank you.
we don't have a jingle yet. Well, let's just do this one, I guess.
Go, Black Betty, Ramble Lamb.
Why not?
Do we need a different jingle? I mean, that's a great jingle.
What's in my questions?
Sure. All right, let's play this question from, you know what? Let's start with Morgan
Hit him with
Morgan?
remix.
of the Hops.
Hey guys, Morgan here. Longtime listener, occasional guest, first time caller. I realize you're probably expecting this to be a joke because I've been known to goof around, but I do actually have a legitimate question. So you guys know what my job is, and as part of my job, I'm now doing a podcast. It's not something that, like, personally I wanted to start doing, but it's part of my job, so here we are. And I'm not going to talk about specifics because I'm not here to try to plug anything. But anyway, we're only like a baker's dozen or so episodes in, and I'm finding that keeping a consistent cadence of recording and publishing stuff is a challenge. It seems like there's always something that, I don't know, makes us shift things around, but you guys have been doing this for a good while now, and aside from the very rare break, you guys have been incredibly consistent with your production schedule. Like, you can set your watch to it. So my question is, do you guys find it difficult to maintain such a consistent cadence, or is it just kind of like part of your life now where it's just, where you don't even have to think about it? That kind of commitment, I imagine, takes some level of sacrifice. Like, somebody may invite you and your family out for dinner, and you know that Thursday nights are blacked out. So what have you had to sacrifice to make the podcast successful, and has that sacrifice been worth it? Anyway, I may or may not be there for the live tonight, but either way, look forward to seeing you guys at Maker Camp in a few weeks. So, all right. Later, dudes.
What a good-looking question, am I right?
Morgan was, in fact, in the live pre-show tonight. So
He was. I remember he was there.
He also was polite enough to say that he wasn't here to plug his podcast, so I'm going to do it for him. The Cutting Edge podcast.
No, why'd you do that? I gotta send him an invoice now. Damn it.
Yeah, that's fine. They've got, we'll just get a dust boot or something. Ooh, I want a giant Morgan hop-sized game of Operation. That'll be it. But yeah, the Cutting Edge podcast,
or at least a file so we can make our own.
By Onefinity is available on platforms, and you should check it out when you're not listening to AWP, which is really never anyway, so we don't have to worry about anything.
Well, Braden, why don't you answer? Because you were the most recent addition, so you had to sell it to your family the most recently. Why don't you tell us your experience with, like, how are you able to make it so consistent? How did your wife say
he was consistent on another podcast?
Yes,
before this,
but I want to just hear.
The switch for me was, AWP. That wasn't hard. That was just a switch of, hey, Thursday night is now Wednesday night. Like I'm now unavailable on Thursday nights instead of Wednesday, and it's been not hard because we start the pre-show right around when my girls are winding down, and then before we record the pod, it's right when the girls are going to bed, so it's not too disruptive. But we've had dinners that have, they've gone late, and we've had to be aware of how we were scheduling things on Thursdays, because end of the day at 8 p.m. this is essentially a job. Like that's how I treat the podcast, and that's how I treat it when I was on Sawdust Talk. That's how I treat this one. It is a job, and I've got working hours from pretty much 8 Central until, Christ almighty, 1 a.m. sometimes. But
oof.
I don't schedule
not a
things
lot
on
of the time.
Thursdays.
2 a.m. my time.
Yeah, we're not smart, but we are consistent. So
there
that
it
was it was an adjustment. Was just like he said, you can set a watch to it. We do not do things on Thursdays, and every single Thursday I've got plans. So you guys have been doing this way longer than I have. What was it like when you guys started?
4+ years.
Good Lord.
When we first started this podcast, didn't we record on Sunday morning when we first
Friday first? We did Fridays because it was COVID. No one had anything going on.
Oh, that's right. Night. Fridays because COVID and people were home doing nothing.
Then we started doing Sunday. And I will say, Sunday episodes were snappy. We were just awake.
Right. Sunday mid-morning-ish.
It was like we start, like my time was like 10 a.m. or 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to skip church for this, which is big. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's fine. I did 1 semester of seminary school, so
it's the same thing.
If we need to flip back to Sundays, I can make sure that you're still right with the big man.
Right.
Lord. But Dan, like after we changed to our regular time.
I mean, it's just at this point it's just a habit, right? We just know that we're going to be here. I mean, you don't even have to think about it, other than the fact that you got to be reminded once in a while, like, oh, it's Thursday. Oh man, okay, I got plans for this evening. But yeah, it's just a habit. It's something that we know we got to do. Like Braden said, it's a job, albeit it's a job that we really, really enjoy doing. It's a job, but it's also like, oh, it's not really a job. I mean, I'm just hanging out with my buddies and we're talking, drinking coffee or what have you. The consistency, it's easy to do if we have family members like my wife and my kids and Pete's wife and now his child, but his child doesn't get a say yet. It's easy to have people behind you that like support what you're doing. They understand. They understand that you're gonna be busy from this time on this day to this time. So that's super helpful. And I think that's one of the main things that keeps us alive. What do you have anything to add, Pete?
I think the biggest thing is our families realizing that this is one of those non-negotiables. We've talked about this
it's non-negotiable.
back in the day. Like if there's an emergency or something serious, like the episode's not happening. Like we all know. You know, and there's times that
family first.
Yeah, like I
obviously.
think the first ever episode that got like skipped, not even skipped, no, because you guys had Lefty on, was when I got married. I wasn't on, but Lefty still came on. But then we decided that around the holidays, like we're just gonna take Christmas off. It's okay.
Yeah, the first year we recorded every holiday. We recorded on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving happens on Thursdays, FYI, if you didn't remember. So the first year we recorded on Thanksgiving. We recorded around Christmas. We recorded around New Year's. And then the second year we were like, why don't we take off the holidays? It was a little rough last year. So
take a week off, 2 weeks off. And the thing is, you know, at this point, our families are fully in the know about this, and they see the value and they see what this is. It's not just like, hey, like the boys just grab beers on Thursday night. Like it's like, hey, there is this thing, like, you know, Emma knows, like, now we have a baby, like we have a human being to take care of, and she's like, hey, you're good. Like you take care of the podcast. She's got the baby. She's gonna put her down. We're all good.
The other babies.
And
exactly.
To be fully transparent, we're actually doing a really good job at monetizing this now, which helps out a lot. It helps. It helps in that, you know, we have a decent reason for doing this, but it also helps sell it to the families. Like, yeah, I'm doing this, and you got to be okay with it because it actually makes a little money.
This pays for the trips, at least. You know, like we're not rolling in it, but like this is making enough where it makes sense.
No, I can't even afford tires yet. I mean, we're not doing that good.
Like, see, Emma does a meeting every Tuesday and sometimes on Mondays. So like I try to back her up during that time, like make sure she's like, hey, you got a meeting, let me make lunch or dinner or whatever, so you don't have to worry about it. She does the same thing for me. She knows this. She knows she's a big part of it. She joins the pre-show anytime she can. So like it's become one of those things that's a non-negotiable for the family. Like we all just kind of like, we don't even think about it. It's just like, oh, it's Thursday, I have the podcast tonight.
The other part to Morgan's question was, have we sacrificed anything? Can you think of anything? I can't think of anything that I've had to like sacrifice.
My wedding, I was there. Older. Christmas, we were there. My baby was born. We don't have to. Literally, baby was born Thursday night into Friday morning.
Yeah,
like we took
that off.
We took that off because honestly, Dan was like overwhelmed.
Next week,
I was mentally not there. Yeah, we did take a week off, but like, you know,
I was ready.
We don't really take off, and honestly, when we take off for maker events, it's not taking off. We've done 2 episodes of live recordings. They sound like absolute dog. Like they do not sound good because it's one microphone on a table with echoes and 3 of us talking at the microphone.
Other people pull it off, so we should figure out how to pull it off one of these days.
Well, yeah, if we set up multiple microphones, but like 2 people, maybe. 3, it's a little tougher. Like I have 2 of these nice mics. I can set them up. It's fine.
Oh, now you're just bragging.
It just gets because Emma has one. You know, like it's extra work, and the only reason we would skip a week is like a major life event for one of us, or a get together where we're together and we're going to provide in-person content with other makers.
Road shows.
So
road shows.
Long story short, we haven't had to sacrifice a whole lot, which is nice.
Other than that goat that one time.
And the thing is, so the difficulty that I think Morgan might have with Stone, not with Stone, but with the podcast they're doing is it is work related for the company that they work for. Infinity.
That's true.
So they need to plan it out, and like every Wednesday, Tuesday, whatever day might be, you need to do it. And the thing is, we're locked in more than most podcasts because we have a pre-show beforehand. I think we did it one time where we recorded the episode a day before and then had the pre-show
with Tiff.
It may have been, yeah.
You guys did the episode and then came into the pre-show, which was a post-show.
Oh, the reverse. Yeah, the same day. That's right. We did the 8 o'clock pre-show, and then we had.
And then there was that one a couple weeks ago that we don't talk about where we did the pre-show and then recorded the next day. for reasons.
Yeah. So like,
family emergency.
but usually it's like honestly, we've talked about like, we could change the date if there was no pre-show, but like we like the pre-show. For all of you 10 of people,
It kind of keeps us honest too. I mean, there's not the flexibility of, well, let's just do it tomorrow. We're not feeling it. Like we got to do the pre-show, and if we're butts in seats and the mics are on, we might as well just record the friggin' thing. So let's just do it. And
might as well.
I guess.
What's 4+ hours every Thursday for 4 years?
And that's another thing. We do it on
man.
Thursday because Thursday's not really an important day of the week, right? People are usually not out and about doing things on Thursdays.
So I'm missing every
Friday's
single
the day.
ladies' night. Every single ladies' night I'm missing.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's AWP night. It's a super important night. But
the
problem that Morgan's having is I think that he needs to confront the fact that secretly, I think he might just not like Stone.
Are we starting drama? Are we?
I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just like it's so hard to get.
This is awkward.
Maybe there's no. What's the science where you mix liquids and they react sometimes?
Chemistry?
Physics.
Chemistry. Thank you. Yeah.
Dang it.
So maybe they don't have that.
That je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi.
The arugula.
But wait. He did ask a very legitimate question. And the thing is, like, this is not easy. This is like every week. I know we've all at some point had the anxiety of like, oh poop, it's Thursday. What did I do this week? How is it a week later? We probably do that every week now, especially now. Like now that I'm not in the shop all the time, it's really tough. So like you just gotta find like get in a groove and make it a scheduled thing that's a non-negotiable.
Make a habit out of it.
And eventually, exactly, make a habit out of it. And eventually it's not even going to matter. Like, oh, we can't do that thing because we have a podcast.
Just be the emperor. Find your new groove.
You got to be a power top. That's what it is. Yeah.
What's next?
Well, speaking of power tops, here's Thomas.
Ooh, he's French.
Hey, Thomas here with a question about painted notes. Almost a year ago, I made this huge bookshelf from pine boards, and I painted it white as demanded by my clients. I even used a primer, but last week I went there to discuss a new project, and looking at the bookshelf, I noticed that all the notes were visible, as if they absorbed all the white paint. Any idea what happened there? Mm-hmm. And maybe how to avoid this? Thank you.
Dan?
Pine is notorious for that. Most softwoods are. Those knots and stuff are also filled with resins, which could interact with the paint poorly, and it could make it look like it's leaching out and stuff. And the best way to combat that is not just use a primer, but fill those knots with some sort of like epoxy or Bondo. I mean, if you're going to paint it, you could use Bondo or CA glue or something. Basically, you want to encapsulate any sort of resins that are in those knots so they don't seep through the paint. That's the only advice I got. And maybe Braden has something else.
No, I was just going to blame it on the resin as well, because one of the first coffee tables that I built is same thing. I built a base out of pine, and I've got brown leaking through, and it's white paint. But isn't it important to use? You're supposed to use like an oil based primer specifically because it encapsulates a little bit better versus a non like a latex based primer.
Right. Yeah, I would use an oil-based primer and paint on pine if I could get away with it.
Or, use white oak.
And I think yeah, that's a good solution too. But I think over time, the pine is going to win. It's just Mother Nature. And unless the pine is like crazy old and really dry, and it's just a fact of using pine. It sucks. Pete?
shellac.
Bless you.
Shellac. Thank you. So I've run into this issue several times, and I learned it from a painter friend of mine, and Keith Johnson of Keith Johnson's Catworks.
Keith Johnson doesn't use pine. What the heck?
No,
he
but
only
he
uses
does.
walnut.
He does use shellac if needing to seal in some grain. So the cabinet that I refinished, Braden, that like you're so upset that you have to build a new one. Be happy, because even though there was white oak fronts that were just stained, whatever, there was one section where for some reason, every time I painted it with the primer, it turned yellow over and over and over again until I just hit it with some shellac. And shellac doesn't care. It's just any kind of knot, any kind of whatever. It just was like, hey, I don't know what you are, but I'm just gonna like get really hard over you. So it went full P Diddy, right? So
okay.
what you want to do is
You never go full P Diddy.
you never go full P Diddy. So shellac is actually really good. And my painter buddy of mine, when he was painting our house, we had one spot where I guess there was some previous water damage in one of the drywall sections, and it kept turning yellow. He sprayed this. It was just like a primer for painters. It was shellac based, where you sprayed it over a section and it just created a nice hard shell, and you can put whatever paint over it.
Today I learned.
Shellac is a miracle worker when it comes to this stuff.
Shellac is made from bug poop.
It is made from, I thought it was carapaces, like their bodies or whatever.
I thought it was their poop.
Shellac is made from
the poop
bugs,
is
guys.
inside the bodies.
Shellac is made from bugs.
It's bug based.
But Toma, you can try that anytime you see, if you do a primer and you see it leaking through, hit it with shellac, hit it with primer again. You'll be surprised how well it looks. It's not a foolproof end-all be-all, but it's going to work really well.
Yeah. And I don't know if you have Kills, which is like a primer. You use it to like primer over like mold and stuff. After you've cleaned up the mold, you use it to primer over mold, like in basements and stuff. That might work too. But I don't know if you have Kills in France.
I wonder what that's based, like what the base of that stuff is. 'Cause I've used it in my basements before.
I'm not 100% sure.
But Kills is the brand, and it's just like, it's like liquid putty. Like it's so thick. When you paint it, your brush is just like coated in it.
Yeah, it's thick boy.
Really thick, but it's meant to like seal stuff in. Thick. Good question, Toma. Next one is from, you know what? Alex Adams. He came in with some actual good questions this week.
Hey guys, it's Alex at Type A Furniture, and my question for you guys is about having your business on your personal property. And, what are some of the things that you need to split up expenses wise, that are things that, are on your personal property, but you still use for your business? Obviously for you guys, internet, electricity, that kind of thing are components that factor into your business. Because I know that in particular, I'm interested on the electricity side, where it's like, okay, what did you guys have for your electric bills before you had your business versus, what is it now? Is it, a 50% increase? Is it more? Is it less? And then semi-related, where do you guys dispose of the sawdust that you generate? And what would you say would be like a typical amount of sawdust that you like generate within a week of woodworking? And if that's something that varies too much for you to give a good answer, maybe what was the week where you generated the most amount of sawdust in a week, and how did you dispose of it then?
Wow. Actually, great questions from Alex. No trolling, no memes, solid questions. I love it.
Does his question about how much sawdust a week, does that include what ends up staying inside the table saw cabinet or outside?
I'm thinking the ones you actually get to capture.
Per
you catch out of the air with your hands and put into a
Braden,
bag.
I have bad news. Talking about that,
I don't want to hear it. You have somebody that you pay to deal with those problems now.
Do you remember when you cleaned out my table saw? You remember that?
Yeah, I'm finally able to blow my
Filled?
nose for real now.
Today, this afternoon, I tried to tilt my table saw to 20 degrees.
I hate you.
Just 20 degrees.
Just hate you so much.
Couldn't go to 20 degrees because it's packed with sawdust so much.
I hate everything about you right now.
Dan just loves
I blame
to
the
make
dust
us-
collector, man.
I love you.
I'm sorry,
but
go
I
on.
hate you.
What was his question? Oh yeah.
Expenses, but job like business expenses.
Well, no. Let's start with the sawdust because we're already on it.
We're going
So,
backwards.
Dan,
Yeah, why not?
sawdust. What do you do with your sawdust?
I'm lucky enough that I have an automated not dust collector, automated trash collector. The truck just pulls up, it's got the arm, it grabs the can and it dumps it. So nobody has to get out, nobody has to breathe the sawdust. So I've always
Wait,
just got
what do you
rid
mean
of my
nobody has to breathe the sawdust? What about
I'm talking about
the
the
plume you start every time it dumps it?
it's in the morning and nobody's outside, so that's fine.
It's no different than dual open garage doors at midnight blasting sawdust.
Correct.
What's Dan's dust collection? My neighborhood.
So
Yes.
my trash collection company has never complained, so that's how I get rid of it. I just dump it right into the trash bin. Luckily, my trash bin is like 60 gallons. It's a big boy, and I usually fill it up about halfway every week, sometimes a little more. So I would say I generate about 30 to 45 gallons a week of sawdust, and that's just the stuff that I collect. That's just the stuff that I collect. That's not the stuff that's currently in the table saw or currently in the jointer or currently in the bandsaw
I hate you so much right now.
or on the floor.
I'm just so mad. It's not even my shop, and I'm so mad.
Yeah, Pete,
Dan.
do you have? Oh, also to answer his other question real quick,
Yeah, but business owner near property. Go.
my CPA handles all that, so I
Good
give him my numbers. I'm like, here, do the thing. So, like we've said before, many times, if you're doing this as a business, get a CPA.
Get an
let them
adult.
handle it. Yeah, Pete,
Oh, Braden.
what do you do? Oh, yeah, Braden. Sorry, did I just trump over?
I thought you
his
said
answers?
Braden earlier, and then
No.
oh, is
Yeah,
it me?
no,
Oh, I'll take it.
No,
I'll do it.
he's tossing down.
Okay.
No,
No,
what's
that's fine.
happening?
I thought he said your name already once, so I'll go back. So the disposal of sawdust. If I know I'm going to be doing a lot of milling of just a wood, and I know I'm going to fill that hopper at least once, I will empty it out. Hapa, which is Boston for Harper. So I'll empty that out, and with it empty, fill it with sawdust, and then dump it on my property in the back of the property because it's just sawdust. Like it's just natural, whatever, milled up. Sometimes I've actually in the past have used it in my garden, depending on what the type of wood it is. Fun fact: walnut not good for your garden, apparently. Yeah. Ooh, child is bad. So do your research on what kind of sawdust, what wood is good for your garden. So, anyways, natural straight up wood. I dump it on my property, or I actually have a blue, like 50-gallon drum or whatever it is, filled with just raw shavings. Anytime I have to start a fire, I just like take a bucket, I dump it in a fire pit. It lights like first try.
You told me that you were like, we didn't start the fire. No. Okay.
Well, I was singing. That wasn't necessarily truth. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
As far as anytime I'm milling, like I'm sanding, plywood, whatever, mixed stuff, I take it out of because let's just be real. The bags that come with whatever dust collector you have, if it comes with a proprietary bag, those bags are way too effing expensive. Am I right? Like, so I'll take that bag, I'll dump it into a black, like Home Depot, whatever company that is, Husky or whatever, like that we all get. We all get the same bags, right? The giant, super thick black bags, comes in a 50 pack on a big roll or 2 rolls. I dump it into that, and now I put it in the trash. I try not to overload it. So my guys, they don't have the dumping arm, Dan. They grab it by hand, and each bag they toss out. So if the bag starts to get heavy, I just tie it off, even if it's half full, and I just grab another bag.
Let me be clear. I don't put my sawdust in a bag. I just put it straight into the can.
You put it loose. We all understood
Loose.
how. Yeah, no.
Loose in the can.
We all got how raw you did it. I put it in bags because I don't want to piss off my trash guys, because sometimes I put stuff out there that I'm like, this is not right, and they still take it.
if my trash guys were throwing the bags into the back of the truck like old school,
You'd bag it, obviously.
I'd bag it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, totally good.
But since it's automated, I'm like, it's fine. He's got his window up. He knows by now when he comes to this house to put his window up.
Exactly. You like those? Roll them up.
Bad neighborhood.
Bad neighborhood. So, as far as the business stuff, I will preface everything with get a CPA. Alex, like a CPA will take care of all this for you. They'll run all the numbers with you, but I'll ballpark some stuff for you. So, for my house, I sent it over. We got a new CPA under the same company we use. And they were like, hey, can you explain how you use 31% of your house for your business? And I'm like, well, I'd be very happy. Here's the formula we came up with the other CPA. And it was the shop got added to the home footprint. Even though it's unfinished space, it is being used for the business while I work from home. I have an LLC. I'm registered. I work from home. Business is registered here. So that got added to the home footprint. Basement is unfinished, but the print shop, even though it's unfinished space, got added to that square footage as well. So the full square footage of the house divided by or subtracted with how much space is being used for the business between the shop, print shop, and 2 offices last year. This year it's just 1. It was about 31%. So every single home bill, whether it's internet, whether it's electricity, heating, I have propane, so I got to get propane. 31%
propane accessories.
Propane and propane accessories, and 31% of those propane accessories got expense as a business expense, because that's how much of my business is utilizing the house, the entire house footprint. So again, talk to your CPA. Every state is different. That's just one example. Some people are going to be like, that's totally wrong. That's illegal. Well, guess what? Blood's not on my hands. My CPA came up with these numbers. So he's going to be the one that's in trouble if something ever goes wrong. Braden?
I am very much in the Dan camp. I loosely empty roughly a 55-gallon container of sawdust into my trash container.
I'm so
roughly
jealous.
every 2 weeks.
I have to bag everything.
Okay. My trash guys, they are angels sent from heaven. I love them. I will do anything to keep them. I make them very, very happy around the holiday time frame because these guys take anything. Like these guys, I'm convinced, are the guys driving around and they see stuff on the curb that says free. Like they're the ones making it disappear. Mm-hmm. Dan, you know that weird disc sander machine that I had where the motor wasn't working, that was from like the 80s, and it was solid steel. This thing was like
the one that was sitting at the end of your driveway like
the
2
one
weeks
I
ago?
left. Yep, the one that I left at the end of my driveway. This thing it's like 150 pounds. I put it out on Sunday. Monday is trash day. These guys, I don't know if they just used the trash, like the grippers, and they just gripped it and yeeted this thing. It was gone. Like I put something out there, pallets, I put weird stuff, I put all sorts of crazy stuff. They make it go away. So I don't worry about it.
That's
nice. I pay for love every holiday. Make sure to tip anybody that helps you make your life easier. Because life gets so much harder if those people were to just suddenly stop doing things, especially the good ones. You got good trash guys. You make sure they never, ever doubt that they are the good trash guys.
I always wave at my trash guy. I should start tipping him, though. I'm always very pleasant with the people at the post office. Those people are important to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's how I deal with it. I don't have a property that I can just like send it back from whence it came. But I might bring a duffel bag with me. Just to put it out. Just
drop it in the kitchen and it kind of explodes.
I had points on my card anyways. Might as well use it.
I had a spare 55 pound suitcase.
Could you like check a bag of sawdust?
I mean,
I-
TSA is definitely
I bet
scanning
we
Or
that.
could
carry it
try,
on?
but-
Could you carry it on? That's
I
what
bet
I'm
we
looking
could
for.
try,
Could you
and
carry it
I
on?
bet TSA has questions.
But
Sir,
it,
what is
it
the
doesn't fall
substance?
under the liquids and stuff guidelines.
No? Yeah. It's technically deconstructed hardwood.
Sir,
Yeah.
it's the opposite of liquid. It is dust. It's liquid dust.
Sir, I frighten easily, so I just bring my own hamster bedding. You're
I
gonna
will say, a couple years ago, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, it's been some time. I tried to put my sawdust into the yard waste bin, and for some reason they didn't like that. I'm like, it's just hardwood,
weird. That seems
But no,
like
they-
the more appropriate space.
right?
It really
That's
blows
what I
my
thought.
mind. Yeah,
It's logical. But no, they wanted it in the trash. I was like, okay.
Which I get for
Fine.
like all the fine particulates and stuff. But like if you're just milling boards, like you're it's literally hamster shavings.
Yeah.
It's thick. It's not dust.
Dick.
Mine's
Thick. QUE.
mostly dust. Mostly.
Well,
dust.
yeah, because of the drum sander.
Yeah, you keep
Yeah.
your non-fine particulates inside your table saw.
And in my lungs, I like to hold it close to the heart. You know,
That's how he gets the deep baritone. It's all dust.
Yeah, that's how I have
It's all wood
that
shavings.
Rizzy radio voice. Is
His-
that what Pete
His
called it?
real voice is actually much closer to Mickey Mouse.
It's,
That's
boy.
it sounds like one of the Bee Gees.
It's all the Wenge.
So dumb.
As for the
Oh yeah, the
tax-
business.
yeah, the bidness. I will preface this with I am not a CPA. Please speak to your tax professional. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I get all of my information from the internet. So, but I follow pretty closely what I've had accountants tell me in the past. What Pete, it sounds like your accountant is telling him. I have built the footprint of my shop into the total footprint of our house. It comes to roughly 25% of the total footprint square footage wise. And so because of that, we kind of make it easy, and essentially my business pays for electricity and gas, pays for a utility bill once a quarter. And that basically offloads, I'll pay for some of my fuel in the truck. And basically by doing that, I'm offsetting the amount of those bills per year by the total footprint of the business, which is about what most CPAs are probably doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. Please talk to a tax professional.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alex, I will give you this advice, and that's some advice that was given to me that got me to ask questions to my CPA that led us to be able to take advantage of more stuff. Is ask the question, how can I run more of my life through my LLC, through my business, through my corporation, whatever the size you're working with? And what that simply means is, like, for example, my vehicle, the monthly payment of my car is paid through the business account. My internet for the house, most of the use of the internet is content based or whatever. So like internet is paid for that. There's some gray areas where like my Netflix, my Hulu, my Apple storage on an iPhone, everything, all of that is business expenses because it's stuff I watch while I'm in the shop.
It's research.
And it's research, or it's entertainment, or it's, here's the thing. So also understand, this took me a while to actually understand. I'm like, how does like a startup have like a ping pong table and a foosball table? Like, but they just simply can't necessarily write off everything. You can blow all of your shop money on whatever you want. You just can't write it off against your income. So that's something, that's a conversation again, have with your CPA. Like, you can do whatever the hell you want with your shop money at the end of the year, but you can't necessarily write off everything to offset your income to show that maybe you didn't make 20,000, you only made 10, or you made negative $10, whatever. So talk to an adult.
Good. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then for anything left over, start a podcast.
Start a
Spread for money
podcast.
laundering.
Great money laundering.
This is a joke.
This is a joke. We lose
IRS,
money.
this is a joke.
All right, last call in was from Sarah. She's got 2 questions. First one is actually her speaking.
Okay, so I just finished listening to last week's episode, and Dan asked if I was bringing my lathe to shows and turning there. So the show I met Peter at, I tried to do it, but I didn't have a good enough table that it didn't really work because I couldn't push into it. However, I have a little battery generator that I use for my laser. Theoretically, I could set my lathe up to that, but that takes up a lot of table space, and most of the shows I'm doing right now are 10 by 10 tents, and I don't really want to waste one of my folding tables, so that means I would have to make another table and get weights for the table, but I'm open to the idea and planning it. What do you guys think? It could be cool to like show how to make the pen in front of everyone, since I am the pen queen, trademark pen Dan. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks. Bye.
Well, good question. What do you guys recommend for like setting up lathe? And just know that this is a pen lathe. This is not a full-size lathe. This is something much more manageable, about 14 to 20 inches long. But it still needs to be on something stout to sit on.
If I've learned anything by selling those whiskey smokers, it's that you will sell more of a product if you can demonstrate it. Even though she's not really demonstrating the pens, she is demonstrating how she makes them, and I think that will help her sell more. So anytime you could use something to like interact with customers on a demonstration basis, I think you're going to sell more. So if you can find a way to do it, do it. That's my 2 cents. Braden, you sell a lot of those whiskey smokers as well. It's kind of the same thing as what I'm talking about.
I have been known to sell a whiskey smoker too. I agree with you that anything that is more interactive than you just sitting in a chair will increase sales, especially if you're showing one specific product and demoing that one product. You'll almost always sell more of that specific product.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Sarah also brings a laser to events, and I feel like I'm going to kick myself for taking the stance. I think the laser brings more value and still brings the same value in terms of doing something different from what other people are doing to draw in customers. And I worry that like operating, what is it, size notwithstanding, what is still equipment, like it's still a tool, is still a power tool, while also trying to interact with customers, do sales, process things. I think that that's more than is necessary. Plus you deal with the fact that you're shooting off shavings. You might hit customers with shavings like that. So I think there's just too much going on with something like that. When I think that the laser customization will still get the same value. Cause I mean, heck, we got more people. We didn't sell Dick, but we got tons of people that stopped by the Papio South spring fair just because we were shooting off that laser. And right. I think that's going to get the same value with a lot less hassle.
Small little pro tip: when you're lasering, try to make the lasering as efficient as possible. We did one laser request for a person at that craft fair, and it took like 45 minutes or something like that.
No, it felt like it because she stood there and talked to us the whole time. It was actually only like a 15-20 minute burn.
Okay, it felt super long.
It felt like forever. But yeah, I mean, optimizing your laser settings, that's always smart to do. But that was our first run with that setup, which
we were just testing the waters.
Yeah, we were. What else?
We've since got a better system.
We got this figured out, but I don't know, Pete. What do you think?
Well, here's why all of you guys are wrong.
Oh, good.
I'm kidding. No, okay. I just love
here we go.
That.
He's going to start with a name drop.
So
and then
I was emailing back with Paula Jackman. So No, you guys are totally right that a demo is going to definitely help out. She mentioned that at some craft fairs, like you're just limited to a 6-foot table. Whether they provide it or you have to bring it, you're just limited like side by side by side by side. But you have a box to work in. Like you are able to expand back and like have your stock or whatever it might be. So if you have whether it's like some kind of stand that you have stuff hanging up on, or you don't necessarily have to set up your lathe on a table and take away from your products. You could just be turning off to the side. So keep that in mind. As long as it's visible, you doing a demo or the laser. I think that's a great idea. The laser, I think, is bringing in a lot of people. Especially, we spoke this week on a Zoom call, me and her, and I told her like customizing your pens might be a big selling point because based on just what we found on Amazon, like wooden pens weren't selling that hot, but like the customization was almost as much as the pens. So, it might be worth looking into that. But don't limit yourself by that footprint of like 6 feet or whatever. Like if you can set up to the side, that's great. I don't know how the battery pack would work. I would try to run a couple pens at home off of a battery pack. If you
do a dry run,
figure it out, turn a bunch of pens, see how many you can do. But like also figure out, especially if you've done the craft fairs in the past, like I'll give you an example of the one we met at was in Tranquility Farms. There was power there. You could run an extension cord or something to your table, and she could have full power at that stand and not have to worry about it. But if you're running off a battery pack, it's going to be, you might not want to be running demos all the time. You might want to do a demo. Hi, Paco. Do a demo like every 2 hours or say like literally put up a sign that says pen turning demo 1:00. People might come back just to see it. Might be really cool. Yeah. Like there's a glass glow.
Draw a crowd there.
Yeah. Draw a crowd and have people actually watching you. And while you're turning, maybe like practice some words you're going to like talk to them about. Like, oh, here's what I do. We do this part and whatever.
Or if you have the capability, if you're going to do the demo at a certain time, while you're doing the demo, if you could have somebody come and like give you a hand during that time, and they could take payments or whatever, or they could relay questions to you while you're turning. I don't know. Maybe
Dan's
if you have 100%
friends, correct.
It's the best part about doing these shows with Dan and Nick is none of us has to be like on and covering 8 people at a time.
Yeah.
So also if she can use like one of the big carving thing, I don't know what they're called for lathes, but like the really big one, just make a whole show of it.
Big Robert Sorby tool.
Yeah, just like juggle them.
It's a pen lathe, but you're using a giant like a 1-inch bowl
gouge.
Bowl gouge, yeah. Like have it all the way back to your hip. It's longer than a lathe. Yeah. That's how you know you made it. All right, next question from Sarah. This one is in her secret voice.
How do you price out your lasering? By time? Is there a website like there is for 3D printing? Should I just see what it sells for on ETSY? One example is birth milestones.
So basically her question is like, how do you price out like laser work? I'll give you a quick answer. Mine is buy the laser hourly rate plus material. My laser hourly rate, depending on who I'm working with, it's between 75 to 125 an hour. So if an engraving takes 45 minutes, like I'm still going to work with the customer to try to make the best engraving the fastest. But like anyone that has a CO2 laser knows that engraving can take a long time sometimes, depending on how big the piece is. So if you're doing like an 8-inch engraving, full depth, they want a nice dark char on it, like that could be an hour engraving. You're going to pay for that. And then your material plus 10%, I think is a good amount. So you don't have to include your shop rate because your laser rate should include that. So that's just how I do it. It's my laser rate plus material with the slight markup. That's it. Braden?
Yeah, mine's pretty similar. I've got most of the jobs figured out to where I've broken it up like per unit what I charge, but I just did the math real quick on it. It lands at right around $110 an hour for me to operate my laser. So that's what it takes. And that's what I charge.
And it depends on the capability of your laser. If you got a small laser, it takes a while. even though it takes longer, you might not necessarily be able to charge more.
And that's burn time. That's not shipping and handling. That's not the handling size. So if it's quick, where I can swap in products on a grid pretty quickly, I factor it in, but not really. But if it's something where I'm having to manipulate, I've quoted out some jobs where I was doing laser engravings on multiple faces. If I'm having to do 36 of those and manipulate them mid carve and then change to a different version of the burn, that's where you just have to start paying attention and make sure that you're factoring in that handling time.
Braden, I actually want to pause on this handling time. When I was on a call with Sarah, I learned that Etsy gives you the capability to add handling time to your. So when you have Etsy calculate your shipping, you can onto it. There's literally a category that says handling. So her shipping was Etsy was doing the shipping part, so it would just calculate automatically. But she had $2 tacked on for handling, and I was like, all right, this might just be my opinion, but as someone that grew up with a lot of television-based sales,
shipping and
where
handling.
you're paying shipping and handling, and we would all be like, "What the f is handling? Like, that's part of shipping. This is whatever." So I told her, like, maybe take out the handling, just work it into your shipping, or we're gonna do the price. So, like, take out the handling.
Yeah.
You don't want a customer, because there's gonna be a customer that's gonna be like, "All right, it's $20 for the thing. It's $5 for shipping. $2 handling. F this," and like just back out at the last minute. Like, you don't want another cost on top of something. So work your handling into that. And then just my opinion, but don't use the handling option on Etsy.
People will spend $25 for free shipping before they spend $20 with $5 shipping. Like, it's a psychological thing. And Amazon's broken all of us. So anything you can do, I build all of my fees in, or I have a flat rate shipping that's like $5 for everything.
On topic, a little off topic. I learned something this week. I watched a video. I can't remember what video I watched.
This is such a big week for Dan.
But it said, start putting free shipping in your product title.
Ooh.
So I tried that
title,
because
I noticed you started doing that.
Yeah.
Wait, so I'm title, not description.
Yeah. So free shipping, cutting board, blah, blah, blah. So it grabs people because people like free shipping. Even though you're already offering free shipping, that lets them know, boom, free shipping right up front. So anyway, may I answer the question?
Yeah, Dan, how do you price out your lasering?
I don't have a good answer. I'm probably the least qualified person to answer this question because these guys do laser specific jobs. I don't. The lasers that I currently have that occupy my space, I use them just to do like one-off personalizations here and there. I don't do a whole lot of big lasering jobs. So like if I had a big laser job come my way, I would probably call Braden or Pete and say, hey, help me price this out. So that's my answer.
Yeah, ask an adult. It's great.
I always ask an adult.
Laser CPAs.
Laser CPAs. LCPAs. Guys, that's it for questions.
Good Lord.
Right.
Good Lord.
Those are some good questions, though. I liked those.
Solid. This felt like a real podcast. I love it.
They did good with the questions this week. I'm very proud.
Thank you to everyone that called in.
We didn't have to say freaking Alex one single time.
Right. How many questions, Alex? Or whoever else calls in with too many?
We need to be nicer to Alex. He's such a loyal listener.
Alex has the best memes.
He'll be joining us at the Maker Camp, correct?
Oh, is he really?
He will be at the Maker Camp.
He's not joining us where we sleep, but he can hang out with us at Maker Camp itself.
That we know of. If anybody's going to sneak in through like some underground door, I feel like it might be Alex.
Gosh golly gee, we're already over capacity with Nick Brim.
The Brim.
The Brim.
Well,
okay. Dang,
I guess,
guys, we are coming up on 2 hours here.
Yeah, let's wrap this up.
Thanks again for calling. I love you. Bye.
No.
Oh,
we can't do that. We can't do that. We got things we gotta do. We gotta do.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna let you do your thing first.
Oh, sure.
I'll do my thing.
Hey guys, make sure to go check out CNC with me, the baby of Hamilton Dilbeck, the greatest place to get all your CNC files. Get started with your craft fair or online sale experience. Get all your files there, get your resources, tutorials, check out the YouTube channel. And what was that, Dan?
And community.
And community. You cannot put a price in community. The price is cost of membership. That's it. Yeah, he's running a sale. So make sure to check out cncwithme.com and also go join us in Huntingdon Valley, PA for the grand opening of WTB Woodworking. One of our very few woodworking centric shops that are going to be hosting a big maker event / grand opening. Again, on October 26th, so 2024, I'll be there. Keith is going to be there. Free food, free t-shirts with any purchase while supplies last, and a bunch of hands-on with all the machinery that they've got there. It's going to be great to be able to touch a saw stop for once in my life. So go check out WTBwoodworking.com.
Can you take a pack of hot dogs and do a little testing?
You know what? I know a guy.
Just
Might
eat
be able
them.
to. Yeah.
Eat them from across the
Just
room.
hot dogs. How many cartridges you got?
Also want to give a big shout out to all of our patrons. You help us keep this airplane in the air. I mean, without you guys, we have no engines, and we would just plunge right into the sea.
Just be a car.
It'd be like a moped, a moped with no muffler. It's just really loud and obnoxious in the flat tire. So if you want to join us and become one of the Meh Army, you can go over to patreon.com/anotherwoodshop podcast and get signed up over there. We appreciate all you guys. Thank you.
Thank you for all the voicemails. We'll see you guys next week. Next week's guest is Mike Suter.
That's right. Confirmed with him. He's aware.
This time.
Nice. Mike Suter from Woodworkers versus Cancer and Makers for St. Jude.
Much excite. So it could be great to get him on, have him talk about his business model and also obviously all the charity work that he does. It's gonna be super great. So make sure to join us next week. Love y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.